Good morning, good morning, good morning, my brothers and sisters. Good morning and welcome, welcome, welcome to another Good Morning Grief devotional. It's your boy, Pastor Corey Allen Duncan Sr. We are so excited to be here with you on a day to lead you in a very special way and yet another Good Morning Grief devotion. This is the daily grief devotion that is strategically designed to help you to navigate through your grief one day at a time. What is grief? I'm so glad you asked. Grief, my brothers and sisters, it is the natural and normal response to loss, change, and transition that results in the expressions of feelings and emotions. Grief is what you feel on the inside. Mourning is what you reveal on the outside. Therefore, we don't suppress it, but we express it. We don't ignore it, but we explore it. We don't lock it up, but we let it out. We don't conceal it, but we reveal it. That's why we shout good morning, because morning is a good thing. And I'm so glad that you are here with us on this morning as we navigate through another devotion. Look, I hope your Friday was phenomenal. I'm praying your Saturday is going to be sensational. And overall, your weekend is going to be wonderful. And I'm glad to start it out in this particular fashion. Today is day 97. We're going to talk about I pull up a chair. I pull up a chair. I pull up a chair. Let's talk about how we pull up a chair. Y'all ready? When my grief comes knocking, I open the door, and what do? I pull up a chair. I pull up a chair. When my grief comes knocking, I pull up a chair. We talk about this all the time that we're going to have. As a matter of fact, hold on, let me just show you this. And I show it to you all the time, but I'm going to show you this and I'm going to come back. Check this out. To all of my people that are grieving, when that grief wave overwhelmingly rushes in like a flood and attempts to overtake you, give yourself permission to pause for the cause, to sit in that moment, to feel what you feel, and just simply ride the wave. Eventually, it will subside. When that grief, when that wave of grief comes flowing, when that wave of grief comes flowing, um, hold on one second. When that wave of grief comes flowing, grief comes in waves, right? Grief comes in waves. Grief comes in waves. And when that grief wave hits, right? What do we need to do in the midst of those situations and circumstances? What we need to do is pause for the cause and do what? Pull up a chair. We need to pause for the cause. We need to pull up a chair. You never know when it's going to hit. You never know when it's going to happen. You never know. This is all a part of the journey of grief as you navigate through this grief journey, right? And when that wave becomes the hit, this is why I say what I say at the beginning of every whatchamacallit. We have tendencies of suppressing and not expressing. We have tendencies of ignoring and not exploring. That we'll suppress it, we'll push it down. We don't want it to come up. We'll hold back, we'll fight back tears, we'll fight back the feeling, we'll fight back what we feel, we'll fight back, expressing ourselves in that moment. That's why one of the best things you can do is let it out. One of the best things that you can do is express yourself in that moment, right? So it says, when my grief comes knocking, I open the door and I pull up a chair. In other words, I'm going to invite you in. I'm going to welcome you. I'm going to welcome this opportunity. I'm going to welcome this rush of emotion. I'm going to welcome the expression. I'm going to welcome this opportunity to express myself outwardly of everything that I'm feeling inwardly. I pull up a chair. And what do? I sit with my grief when it needs company. I sit with my grief when it needs company. I offer it hospitality. And when I'm ready, I share my grief outside of myself in some type of way. I sit with my grief when it needs company. This is what I'm telling y'all, please. And I say it, and I'm going to continue to say it, and y'all heard it before. You have to befriend your grief. Your grief is not the enemy. Your grief is not the enemy. And when that wave hits, when grief comes knocking at your door, don't act like, who's that at my door? We ain't here. Don't act like, y'all know how we do when somebody ring that doorbell, they knock on that door, and you ain't expecting nobody to come. We not. We got all type of cameras and stuff now. We gonna look on our Ring camera. We're gonna peek out the curtain. We're gonna be like, who is at what? We used to be excited back in the day when somebody rang the doorbell. We got company. We was happy we had company. Now, not so much, right? So when that grief comes knocking at your door, right? You may see it as an unwanted guest, like an uninvited guest. Like, I didn't invite you over here. But when grief comes knocking, we have to pull up a chair, right? We got to pull up a chair. We pull up a chair, open the door, we pull up a chair. Sit with my grief when it needs company. I'm going to sit in that moment. You hear me? I'm going to sit in that moment. Y'all, this is what you're doing. You're giving yourself permission to feel. Give yourself permission to feel, because the opposite is suppressing. We don't want to suppress. We want to give ourselves permission to feel. I give myself permission to feel what I feel in that moment. That's what it means to pull up a chair. I even told you before in previous times. It's like you pull up a chair and you can acknowledge it and you can name it, right? If you was to pull up a chair beside you or in front of you and write the feeling on a piece of paper and put it in the chair, right? You name it. Sadness, anger, upset, mad, I don't know, whatever it is, you sit in that moment. Y'all, this is one of the most powerful things that you got to understand. And because a lot of us, we try to avoid it. Sometimes we live in the tension of our grief. We live in the tension of our grief. That sometimes we got to sit in that moment. Y'all, give yourself permission to wrestle. Give yourself permission to wrestle. Those are the things that we try to avoid just naturally. We don't want to live in the tension of anything. We don't want to wrestle with anything. We try to avoid conflict. We don't want no smoke. Give yourself permission to wrestle. Live in the tension. When that feeling comes, right, you sit with it. I'm going to sit right here with it. I'm gonna sit here. I'm gonna sit right here with it. I'm gonna sit right here. What I'm feeling, I'm gonna sit right here with it. Right? Pull up a chair. Pull up a chair. You can even do that symbolically. If you at the crib, wherever you at, if there's a chair, pull up a chair. Do it symbolically, right? Pull up a chair. Sit next to it. Empty. Oh no, you can't sit there. My grief is sitting there. We're having a conversation right now. I'm sitting in this moment. You pull up a chair, right? Literally, um, in symbolic fashion, and you give yourself permission to feel what you feel. Yeah, this is the only way through it. I'm trying to tell you. I'm trying. I'm trying to help you out. This is how you navigate through the process. And I know you want the process sucks. Well, the process is the process, right? You give yourself permission to feel. This was with any loss, change, and transition. If we could just learn this principle and not hold back, if we could just learn this principle and walk in it, if we could just learn this in our lifetime and stop suppressing and stop holding back, right? Stop ignoring. And if we could start exploring, if we would give ourselves permission to feel, give yourself permission to feel. That's why people love coming to talk to me, because it's a safe place and safe space where you have permission to feel, right? And whether it's with a counselor, a coach, a therapist, a pastor, or whether you're by yourself, right? This is true self-care. When we talk about self-care, I know we equate it to physical acts of service. We get our hair done, we get our nails done, we'll get a massage, and all of these things are wonderful, and continue to do them, right? Because you relaxed and you feel good, and these are outer things that beautify you, that help you to care for yourself, that are absolutely phenomenal, fabulous, and wonderful, and continue to do it. Don't stop doing it, right? But it's not just the things we do on the outside to care for ourselves, it's the things we do on the inside, right? And one of the best things you can do internally is to give yourself permission to feel. Give yourself permission to feel. Pull up that chair. Sit in that moment. Sit with your grief and give yourself permission to feel. Sit in that moment. Sit in that grief. Give yourself permission to feel. That's the best gift you can give to yourself, right? Sit in that moment. Give yourself permission to feel. So you pull up a chair, open the door, pull up a chair, sit with my grief when it needs company. I offer it hospitality, right? Grace, be gentle to yourself. And when I'm ready, I share my grief outside of myself. That's the second part. Give myself permission to feel, give myself permission to reveal. Right? That's the mourning part. That's when grief shifts to mourning. I give myself, when you're ready to shift it into that gear, give myself permission to feel, give myself permission to reveal. And both of them are crucial parts. They're crucial aspects to this thing called grief. I'm going to give myself permission to feel whatever I need to feel. And when I'm ready, I'm going to express it outside of myself. I'm going to give myself permission to reveal, right? To reveal outside of myself. I'm going to say, here it is. Welcome, grief. Welcome, grief. I know you're actually love in disguise. I would be a fool to turn you away. Welcome, grief. I know you're love in disguise. I would be a fool to turn you away. Here's the final thought. If I am inhospitable to grief, I'm inhospitable to love. If I am inhospitable to grief, I'm inhospitable to love. Today is day 97. This message is straight from heaven. I pull up a chair. Come on, y'all talk to me one time for the one time. If y'all got questions, holla at your boy. If y'all got questions, holla at your boy. We talking about pulling up a chair. That's right, Miss Diane. We gonna pull up a chair. Sit in my grief, feel and reveal. That's right, Miss Laura. We pulling up a chair. Give ourselves permission to feel. Sit in that moment. Pull up a chair. You hear me? Stop ignoring and start exploring. Thank you for the safe place. You are absolutely welcome. Miss Diane, you're definitely a safe place. Thank you. Miss Pilar, good morning. Julie Evans, questions if you got them. Questions if you got them. Questions if you got them. I appreciate y'all. We're going to get through this together. We're going to get through this together. All right, no questions. Well, I love y'all with the love of the Lord. I appreciate y'all. Remember, pull up a chair. I want y'all to do that really symbolically if you're able to. Pull up a chair, sit in that moment, give yourself permission to feel as you continue to navigate through this thing called grief. I'm telling you, it's going to make all the difference in the world. It's going to make all the difference in the world. I definitely love this good morning devotion. Definitely helping me. Thank you, Pastor. You're so very welcome, Felicia. I appreciate you. Appreciate you being here. We're going to get through it together. Amen. Amen. Well, y'all have a sensational Saturday. I love y'all with the love of the Lord. I'll see y'all soon. Let's go.